Now we're going to move on to profession. So profession, like I mentioned, we've got a lot of professionals. So what you're great at, and you will be paid for it. So that is profession. So one thing that we need to do is find your strengths in profession. What type of learner are you? What type of personality do you have? What are you naturally good at? Your skills? What brings you to life? Your passion, your environment, and what is your purpose? So when it comes to learner type, there are many, right? Visual learner, kinesthetic learner, auditory learner, stress learner, ease learner, scribble learner, trust learner, teach learner, copy learner. What you need to do is identify what type of learner you are. I am a mixture of teach learner and ease learner. So for yourself, you need to identify what type of learner you are. Also, when it comes to learning, the amazing thing is, I don't know whether this has been done by design or whether this is the way it's ended up, but the worst way of teaching or retaining information is by lectures. And we see all the universities, what do they do? Lectures. 5% of what you retain is through lectures, 10% is reading, 20% is audio-visual, 30% is demonstration, 50% is discussion groups, 75% is practice by doing, 90% is by teaching others. So teaching others is one of the greatest ways of learning. And to get results fast, it's about being active. It's about, after 2 weeks, you tend to remember 90% of the things that you say and do. 70% of what we say. So basically in the 90% you've got doing the real thing, simulating the real experience, doing a dramatic presentation. And in 70% you've got giving a talk and participating in a discussion. As far as passive learning is concerned, 50% of what we hear and say will be retained after 2 weeks. So seeing it done on a location, watching a demonstration, looking at an exhibition, watching a movie, that leads to 50%. 30% of what we see, looking at pictures, 20% of what we hear, and 10% of what we read is retained. So if you want fast results, and all entrepreneurs want fast results, the key thing is to do the real thing, or do a dramatic presentation, giving a talk, participating in a discussion. These are the key ways. It's about being active. Now, personality types. Now, I'm not a big fan, but there's nothing better than this, which is the Myers-Briggs test. So Myers-Briggs type of testing. The reason I'm not a fan is because things change with time. You don't remain from my experience, you don't remain the same 4 codes that you get. So in Myers-Briggs, you can be the extroverted or introverted, sensing or intuitive, thinking or feeling, perceiving or judging. Okay, from these you get 4 codes, and it's something that Rumi mentioned actually. Seem as you be or be as you seem. Again, there are only 2 states. Seem as you be or be as you seem. The fastest way I've found of doing this Myers-Briggs testing is through this amazing infographic, which shows the 4 different codes, and you literally can zoom in. And what I found is that if you find 3 personalities that resonate with you the most, you can work out your personality very quickly. So when I mention this, so it's got to do with ESP, it's got to do with extrasensory perception. So when I mentioned this to a psychiatrist consultant who's got an MBA and a PhD, he said, "How have you worked this out? Where did you learn this from?" And I said, I made this. I made this concept. That you literally scan through the faces and you see which 3 faces stand out the most, which resonate with you the most, and you will be an average of these 3. Now, I tried this at a retreat in this February, and what we found was that there was a girl who basically told me her 3 personalities, and within 6 seconds I told her personality what she was. Her lifetime was summarized in a nutshell in 6 seconds when she just told me about the 3 personalities. This is how powerful this is. So this is something I'd strongly recommend you do. Now, I want you to make 2 columns. This is another exercise in profession, and write skills and talents. So skills are what you have. So skills are what you acquire. Talent is what you naturally have. So if you make 2 columns, skills and talents, and write down the skills that you have and the talents that you have, these will help you in unlocking your profession. Next thing is to acknowledge and limit your weaknesses. What things do you find difficult to do? What things can you not stand? What things bring you down? Which people, environment, activities bring you down? You need to make a list of these things, because this is what you need to avoid. Now, so what happened one day was I was at an enterprise conference, and I was stood up with a pose. I don't know if this is going to come now in this, but I was stood up at this event called at Manchester Enterprise Conference, and a man comes up to me, the man in the image, and he says to me, "Are you an artist?" I turned around and I said to him, "No." I said, "I'm doing my PhD." And he then went on to ask me and this other guy who was chatting to, a Spanish guy, another PhD student, and he went and started asking us a few questions, and then he walked away. When he walked away, it was announced that the keynote speaker is about to present, and it was that same man that asked me whether I'm an artist. And I later went on to find out that he was Simon Woodruff. Simon Woodruff was the founder of Yo Sushi, or is the founder of Yo Sushi. Simon was one of the most completely amazing personality, because what he shared with us was completely inspiring. He mentioned how he had sold his house for £120,000, and he needed roughly £200,000 worth of investment. And so he managed to find two investors that would invest £40,000 each. These 2 investors said that we'll take everything, you take 1%, and we'll give you what you need. So for 99%, they were giving the 80,000, and Simon sold his house and he put 120,000 in. And most of us would not even consider this, but Simon took the chance. Simon sold his house and he went all in, and he basically put in 120,000 and he got the 80,000. And after 1 year, one branch made £1 million. One Yo Sushi made £1 million. The next year and the following years, he had 100 branches in the UK. So he was making 1 million per year based on 1%. So what this goes to show is that it needs grit and determination. But another thing that Simon mentioned, which is very true, is he said that imagine you have your comfort zone, right? And then you step outside your comfort zone. What and how do you feel? You feel nervous, you feel shaky, you don't like it, it doesn't feel right. But he says, guess what? If you step out and you stay out there, what happens to your comfort zone? It expands. So the key is this next diagram, so showing your comfort zone where you feel safe and in control. Then it goes to your fear zone, where you lack the self-confidence, you find excuses, you're being affected by others' opinions. Then you go to the learning zone, you deal with challenges and problems, you acquire new skills, you extend your comfort zone. Before going into growth zone, where you found your purpose, you're living your dreams, you set new goals, you conquer objectives. So most of us get stuck. When we do not give energy to grow, we regress. We come back to our comfort zone. We want that feeling of being safe and in control. This is why some entrepreneurs, when they're on their entrepreneurship journey, they're being pulled back to the comfort zone of getting a job, because that feels safe and in control. When it comes to personality types, I am essentially three things I realized after doing the Myers-Briggs test a few times. I'm an originator, craftsman, and a strategist. Now, originator, you've got basically ENTP as the initials, and Da Vinci is a personality that stood out the most for me, that resonated with me the most. Then I'm craftsman. The personality that stood out and resonated with me the most was Steve Jobs. And lastly, as a strategist, it was Nikola Tesla. So this is who I am. I'm basically a maverick entrepreneur, artistic sort of personality. This summarizes me. So you guys need to do the same and see what resonates with you.